Thank you, sir. Respected organizers, respected chairs, and my dear doctors, good evening to all. And when I received a mail from Dr. GVK asking me to talk on non-calorie sweetness, I promptly replied, thanks for asking me to talk on artificial sweetness. But immediately I realized, though we use these two terminologies synonymously, there are not all non-calorie sweetness or artificial or synthetic. There are some natural sweetness like stevia, which is a plant source, monk fruit, erythritol, xylitol, yarn syrup, which are rich in fiber also. Of course, there are synthetic or what we call as artificial sweetness like aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, and neotum, popularly known as aspartame as equal, saccharin as sweet and low, sucralose as Splenda. What is non-calorie sweetness or low-calorie sweetness? They are just sugar substitutes, a food additive that provides sweetness like that of sugar, containing significantly less food energy than sugar-based sweetness, making it a zero-calorie or low-calorie. A century ago, when we conquered poverty and people started living in abundance of food, but not conquered the desire not to eat more. They wanted something like this. They can still eat more, enjoy the food, but gain less weight. So, the saccharin is the first, we can say, the artificial sweetener, which came even in 1879. Then there are many sweeteners in the market, stevia, aspartame, acesulfame, sucralose, neotum, and there are many more which is not available in the market but available in the industrial use. These sweeteners are extremely sweet, so they are called as intense sweetener also. There is many regularities and national bodies which define the acceptable daily intake of these sweeteners. And these sweeteners, as I told, are many times, hundreds and thousands of times sweeter than the natural sugar. So very minimum quantity is required. Some are heat stable, most of them are heat stable, except aspartame, which is not heat stable, cannot be used in bakery item and hard stuffs. And except aspartame, which has a warning that it should not be given to phenylketonuria, which is a very rare genetic disorder. And stevia as an aftertaste, because these artificial sweetness, after some time, they also stimulate the bitter receptors in the tongue. So, regarding safety and side effects, generally they are safe for adults, and the label says including pregnancy within the acceptable daily limit. Useful in preventing tooth decay, because when we eat sugar during digestion, lot of acid is produced which is damaging the tooth. But when we use the artificial sweetener, they say it protects the tooth. Okay. May be useful to manage body weight by cutting calories, and in diabetes helps adherence to diet. Sugar alcohols cause bloating and diarrhea, worsening of symptoms in people with gut disorder. May alter gut microbiota also, leading to obesity. So, the national authority says there should be a labeling requirement for all the food products which is available in the market which has an artificial sweetener. The Indian context says artificial sweeteners, every package to tabletop sweeteners and foods permitted to contain artificial sweetener under these regulations, and any advertisement for such foods shall carry the following label. One is it contains artificial sweetener, not recommended for children, that is our Indian context, not for phenylketonuria, only acceptable in aspartame is added. Dr. Mohan has published a book on low calorie sweetness in 2016, and he concludes evidence is evolutionary, so stay current. So what has happened after 2016? There was an expert consensus on low-calorie sweetness in 2018, where European as well as the American participated. What was the conclusion? They discussed on the facts, research gaps, and the suggested actions, and they concluded, regarding effects involving the human gut microbiota, data are limited and do not provide adequate evidence that low calorie sweetness influence gut health at doses relevant to human use. Then there was a meta-analysis, or then there was a Nutrinet Santé population-based French study. It's a cohort study, but they give a clue that artificial sweetness, aspartame and acesulfame were associated with increased cancer risk, something like breast cancer, etc. Then in 2022, WHO has given a big, elaborate meta-analysis report. There also it concludes needed more study to assess the safety of non-calorie sweetness in long-term use and also in pregnancy and children. So, where is the role of non-calorie sweetness in the management of diabetes? So, it is generally safe for adults. So, you are not going to be accused if you recommend artificial sweetener or non-calorie sweetness to your patients to improve their adherence to diet or to lose weight for a short term. But is it necessary? Generally I don't encourage them. Those who are already taking, it's okay, because the sweet receptors are present in the gut. I read long time back in the animals, cattle, they use artificial sweetener in the cattle feed to improve the milk yield. How it is done? Because though the artificial sweetener doesn't have any calorie value, they help the gut receptor, sweet receptor, to absorb more carbohydrate from the cattle field. So, artificial sweetness or the low calorie sweetness, though they don't have any calorie value, they are not just inert substance as we think. Then another reason why I don't encourage very actively is sweet receptors present in the tongue gets adopted within 24 hours. The first cup we drink without sugar for the first time, it may not be very palatable, but the next day itself, within 24 hours, the tongue gets adopted. Unlike for the salt receptors, to reduce salt to off of the consumption, we have to give at least 7 days time. Slowly we have to reduce the salt. Then no need to actively encourage to include in the diet. That's my idea. Maybe Meenakshi may be having a different idea. Not recommended for children below 2 years. That we should remember. Thank you very much.